Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Tuesday, July 8th. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, I thought we'd talk about what really goes into running a repair business. We're in the service sector, right? So, what is it that's the must have, and then trickling down to least the things that we need to worry about? So, stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back. My name is Eric, if you didn't already know it. And yes, this is the weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Tuesday, July 8th of 2025. So today's topic is what is really required to run a small engine repair business. And this could be automotive repair business. It could be anything in the service sector because that's what we are, right? If you're selling whole goods, you could have like a shop and a retail outlet. But for most of you out there, you're just running a shop, right? And you're not selling a lot of parts to the public. You're putting it on your machines that are being repaired. But let's go with the must haves to the least haves. All right? To me, the must haves is one, experience. You need to know how to turn a wrench or hire somebody that's really good at it. See, you either have to be able to do it yourself or pay somebody else to do it, right? If you're good at business, managing money and dollars and cents, but you really don't want to get into the particulars of being a mechanic, yes, you could hire somebody. But having good mechanical skills somewhere in that business, that shop, is a must. And why is that? Because you want somebody that's going to take pride in their work. No, very few do-overs. Do-overs will kill you, even with your best of customers. After a couple of do-overs, they start to kind of wane from how great you are. So mechanical skills rates right up there at the top. People skills and knowing how to treat each customer. You have to have that ability to, you know, I've always felt that honesty is best medicine and best policy and best everything. You know, I don't believe in sugarcoating anything. You know, when it comes to talking to a customer, I'm not talking about talking down to them or try to wow them with your mechanical jargon. I'm talking about being able to communicate with a customer, get their respect, give them respect, and have them feel like they're in good hands. And if you can do that and do quality work, you will have a customer for life. You could have a customer for 5 years, and if they feel that they got screwed going into the sixth year, you won't get them back. You won't. It isn't that you screwed them, it's how they felt. And I know it's hard because you can't control how other people feel. You can only control how you feel. But if you follow my philosophy of treating people the way you would hope to be treated, it's done well for me. People appreciate that. And we had an older couple stop in yesterday that we had done some work for him a few years back. And one of our older customers had talked to him and gave us great reviews, references. And that's where taking care of your customers, your returning customers, is very important because they will spread the word to their friends quicker than any print, any type of media or anything else ads will, because it's somebody telling somebody else. So he called and he wanted to know about two chainsaws. They were older Steels. and want to know if I could fix them. He said he didn't know if they were worth fixing or not. And I said, well, get them here and I can check really quick for you to see whether they're worth fixing or not. So they ended up showing up, and they weren't that old. They were about 7 years old. Both of them nice deals. He's taking excellent care of them. But he told me he couldn't get any fire on either one of them. So I told him, I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with compression. And if the compression isn't there, the small saw, iffy on what you want to do. The big saw, it might be worth putting a new jug, piston, all that. So they both stayed there while I checked the compression, and the compression was over 118 on both of them. And he said he wasn't getting any fire. So I put the spark tester on, and both of them were firing. So I told him, I said that both of them are ideal candidates for being fixed. It's probably a fuel or carburation issue, but nothing major. Sometimes showing your customer how you diagnose quick is worth it because it leaves them feeling like they're in good hands. You know, he was telling me, he said, look, he said, I'm a carpenter, I'm not a mechanic. He said, that's why I bring it to you guys. And I said, well, we're not mechanics either. We just play that part. But being honest with your customers has got to be right up there. And how they feel at the end. You know, you may feel like, well, it needed X, Y, and Z, and that's why it's $300 or $400 bill. And that's fine. But I find with most of my customers, if I give them a call before I go ahead and explain to them this is what it's going to cost, you want me to fix it, it goes way, way farther than just going ahead and doing it, and then it is what it is, right? And that honesty part also carries over into no fudging hours, no fudging parts, no, you know, another shop in the area was well known for just saying they replaced the battery and they just cleaned it all up, right? The top made it look like it was new with a pressure washer and stuff. And one of my customers I got that year had said that he took it there for years. And he wondered why his battery is going dead every year. Why it need to be replaced. And I said, well, the cheapy Walmart batteries don't last that long. But I wasn't trying to make excuses. But he said he marked the bottom of his battery. And when he got the bill, it said that they put a new battery in it. So the first thing he did was he took his old battery, took the new battery out, flipped it over. Sure enough, where he had marked it was still on it. That is dishonesty. And that kind of a reputation gets around fast. You know what I'm saying? Don't be dishonest. So far we're talking about having the mechanical skills and the ability to work with customers. Those two are the key points. The business side is going to come into play because you need to know dollars and cents, all right? And why is that important? Well, if you don't understand dollars and cents, how are you going to figure out whether you're in the blue at the end of the month or the red? And I can tell you, the more mouths you have to feed, the bigger the money coming in has to be. See, I hear so many different shop owners talk about getting units through the shop. And that's very important. The more units you get through the shop, the more profitable it is, right? To a certain extent. You need to put out quality work on every unit. I mean, we can run 20 units, 20 mowers through in a day and do shoddy work or do 10 high quality work. And I'll take the 10 over the 20 any day. Because those 20 that you shipped out that has shoddy work and have to be do-overs, or you miss things. See, that's the biggest thing, is when you get into too big of a hurry, you need to, if you're going to have employees, let's say you hire a mechanic, you have to treat those employees good, okay? And you want them looking out after you in the shop. It's more than just a livelihood. It's because they want you to succeed. And that's because you want them to succeed. And you put trust and faith in them. But in the end, it's about the quality of work that's going out that door day in, day out. And a lot of shops feel that, well, cutting a few corners isn't going to hurt anybody. But in the long run, it does. Because if you miss stuff, especially stuff that shouldn't have been missed, because you were in a hurry to get units in and out, it's going to start coming back to haunt you. And that means your customers are going to start dwindling because they're going to take you somewhere to get quality work. Pure and simple. So you may do well this year, but then next year it could be crickets. And why is that? Because the customer got less than what they expected. I can't stress that enough. Do good quality work on everything that you put your hands on. And if you have a mechanic doing the work, sign off on it by going out and doing a once over on it yourself. You know, you don't have to be the best mechanic out there, but a second set of eyes, just kind of going through a checklist to make sure that nothing was missed, is important. It's invaluable. That's why it's hard for you guys that are doing the mechanical, doing the ownership, doing everything. I mean, by the end of the day, you're pulling your hair out because you don't have anybody to give you a hand at anything. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of things in the shop where an extra set of hands comes in handy, right? So don't base your business on how many units you can put out in a day. Base your business on how many quality units can get put out in a day. And that brings us to the next point, and that is keeping track of what is actually being used. We've run into this into the past, where parts weren't being put on the sheet. And if you have employees that say, well, it's not coming out of my pocket, it's going to be the death of you. And there's nothing like having to follow behind everybody and find out what was used and what wasn't used. You know, a few spark plugs don't sound like a lot, but if your mechanic isn't putting down that he put 2 new spark plugs in 4 units, now you're talking 8 spark plugs. Again, it don't sound like big money, but at $4 a plug, that's a couple hours of labor. So making sure that what you use is on the sheet is very important. That comes back to dollars and cents. Is you don't want to put things on there that you didn't do, but you want to make damn sure that you have on there what you did do and what parts were used so that the bill reflects what you actually did. If you just blew the air filter out, that's fine. You don't need to charge for a new air filter if it doesn't need it. You're going to get it in labor for taking the time to blow it out. But you see what I'm saying? Goes back to honesty again. And that is, you can tell the customer the air filter was fine, we just blew it out, and it reflects it on the bill. And usually every third or fourth year we end up having to replace that air filter, and then it goes on the bill as a replacement, right? You have to keep a good accounting of what is coming into the shop and what's going out in the shop. Because if you don't, it will eat you alive. And I know you guys that are one-man bands are well known for forgetting stuff because you're trying to wear all these different hats, right? But my best advice to you is slow down. Get a routine. Start on one machine. Figure out what it has to have. Write it on the repair order of what parts you need. What are the prices going to be? And then get them installed. What I have is I have sheets for out in the shop. And it's the customer's name, what the unit is, Pushmore, Ryder, Husqvarna, and it gives the model number and everything. I want to know how many hours are spent doing the complete service. And then I want to know what parts were used. It's all on that sheet. And then I take that sheet and then I have an Excel document that I can just punch it into and it brings up an invoice. Print it out and I'm all set. Go on to the next. If you're a one-man band, get a system down so that when you complete one unit, you go in, do the billing, set it there, let the customer know it's ready, and start the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Pretty quick, you'll get into that routine of knowing the steps that work best for you. Technology is here. It's how well you're willing to use it, right? So what else would go into running a good shop for longevity, which is down the road? We got mechanical, we got business, we got customer relations. We have keeping track of your hours and the parts used. The next one down the list is instilling confidence in your customers. And I'm not saying you need to have the cleanest shop, but it doesn't hurt to have, because the comments that I get is if it's too clean, they'll tell me I'm spending too much time cleaning and not enough time doing mechanical. If it's not clean, then they're telling me I'm spending too much time on mechanical and not doing cleanup where it needs to be. See, what I've developed over the last year with you guys' help is when I'm working on something, when I'm done with a tool, I wipe it down and put it away. That way I know where it is at all times. It's just a hand reach away. Claude's got a pile of tools everywhere. I don't know how he keeps things so he knows where stuff is, but it works for him. Me, I'm running around from pile to pile trying to find anything that I need out there. So having some orderly in your shop of knowing where your tools are and taking care of your tools so that putting them back clean for your next job is just as important. And then we're going to end it on first in, first out. Develop that policy in your shop. The first one in should be the first one out. The only reason it won't be is if you're waiting on parts. Alright? But then you jump to the next one and the next one. You see what I'm saying? So you may end up with 3 or 4 that you're waiting on parts. But you can always start the 4th, 5th, and 6th, right? And when the parts come in, they're still the first ones going out unless the other ones just needed a service and they didn't need blades, belts, and so on. And don't take on the easiest first to bring the shop money in the short term and then leave the longer projects for last, because it's going to screw you, right? A, customers are going to get sick of waiting. B, I'm going to get sick of waiting, trying to get a paycheck for that week. If you have a system in your shop where the first ones that are dropped off or you picked them up are the first ones that go into the shop, that's going to be your best policy. Don't take on the easiest to bring money into the shop. Worry about your customers first, and the money will find its way into the shop. So on that note, you guys have a great Tuesday, and we'll see you here bright and early tomorrow morning. What do you think? And what do you guys, where do you rate all this stuff on your list of I need to not so much? I'd be curious to know, because I'm still learning. I get just as much from this channel as I give. You guys have been very instrumental over the past years, of getting me more in the frame of business and mechanical. See you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Have rehab this afternoon. That should be fun.